So we're back with another build video today, and this time we'll be building another creator-based PC around this motherboard, which is the Gigabyte B550 Vision D-P. Since we're using a B550 motherboard, which is an AMD chipset, we'll be using a Ryzen 5 5600X, which will go well with the B550. And for the graphics card, we'll be using another Vision series graphics card, which is the RTX 3060 Vision OC. And for the RAM, we decided to use this, the Gigabyte DESIGNARE 64 gigs RAM. Now moving on to the storage, because this motherboard can actually support two M.2 drives, we decided to go with two M.2 drives, one Gen 4 and one Gen 3. To cool down our CPU right here, we'll be using an AORUS WATERFORCE X240, which is a very decent cooler based on my past experience. And looking at the components we'll be using right here, we'll be needing a roughly 600 watt power supply so everything can go well without any hiccups, which is why we'll be using this, the 600 watt straight power 10 from Be Quiet. And to house the entire components we have on the desk, we'll be using one of the latest case from Be Quiet as well, which is the PureBase 500DX. And yes, that's pretty much all for the components we'll be using for the build. Let's keep the introduction short and let's cut in straight to the build. There you have it. After some minor struggle with the installation, we're finally done with the build, and surprisingly, it turns out pretty well. I didn't really expect this case to be white, because the time I got this case, I never really opened and checked what color it is until we started doing the build. So it turns out pretty well. Looks great with the theme right here, which is almost full white. And yes, you have some RGBs, even though I don't think creators will, turn on the RGB because of how distracting it can be when they're doing their content creation. And speaking of content creation, I'll be passing this build to our video editor guy so he can experience this for some time, doing the usual work with video editing and let's see what does he think about this build.
So I've been spending some time with the build. Actually, hi, I'm the editor also. So all of the videos that are filmed go through me to be edited and then uploaded to YouTube. So I switched over from my main desktop to this desktop. My main desktop specs are as listed here. It's just a brief mention as a comparison. So switching to this desktop is quite an interesting experience, particularly is because of the RAM. Now, I was furious to know that there's actually 2 kits of the 64 gigs of the Gigabyte DESIGNARE RAM, but they only put in 1 kit. But I am okay with that because it's 64, which is double the amount of RAM that I have at home. I also recently hit a limit of that 32 gigs of RAM because I've been messing around with After Effects and all of the MOGRT files. I don't know if that's how you pronounce that name, but it's spelled like this. And those files are gonna tax your RAM a lot because every frame rendered will be stored in the RAM. So yeah, it does consume a lot of RAM if you have MOGRT on top of MOGRT and then you stack up like 8 of them in one single project. And then you also have to juggle few projects at once to copy paste some of the things. Anyway, it's just how I work, and 32 gigs of RAM, not enough for me. So 64 gigs is definitely good in this case, so I can multitask even better, especially with a lot of Chrome tabs to save screenshots of websites, do some research, add some addendum information and whatnot into the video so you guys get a better idea, all of those good stuff. And then how I edit my videos is mostly through an external SSD. My external SSD is a USB 3.2 Gen 2, 10 gigabits per second. It's really fast, so I don't feel any bottleneck with that external SSD. And because the motherboard has double Thunderbolt 3 ports, it makes this kind of kit that Gigabyte also has very convenient and useful for my use case. For me, why I edit using an external SSD is because I change between laptop and desktop very often. So I just put everything into the SSD and bring it around with me. It's better that way. And since this motherboard has double Thunderbolt 3 ports, I can literally get some Thunderbolt 3 hubs to expand to even more USB hubs if I need to. But currently, I don't need it because this motherboard already has a lot of USB ports at the back, and also Ethernet ports so that I can easily sync up with our office's NAS through Ethernet for an even faster experience. But as you can see now, there's no Ethernet port because we're using Wi-Fi. It's also AX Wi-Fi, which is Wi-Fi 6, so that's good. Moving on to the internals. This Gigabyte B550 Vision DP motherboard is also a relatively, not to say expensive option, and yet it still has a lot of the premium features that we came to expect. For example, PCIe Gen 4 support and also double M.2 slot. One of them is a Gen 4 SSD slot. One of the biggest solid that these builders did to me is actually to include a PCIe Gen 4 X4 2TB NVMe SSD as the main drive, which I just copied in a lot of the project files from the external SSD into that drive. Everything ran really smoothly and really quickly, no problems there. Transferring those files between the second drive and the first drive is also very fast because the second drive is a 1TB PCIe Gen 3 X4 NVMe SSD. So don't know why they gave me that much storage, but hey, PCIe NVMe SSDs means no extra cables. It's just directly slot into the motherboard. That's it. A few more quick highlights that I want to make about this build in particular is number one, the WATERFORCE 240mm AIO cooler. With that screen there, that means I have to install some utility and then I can customize it to however I want. So instantly I put something that's a bit more wholesome since editing can be quite stressful. So looking at the AIO cooler can make me relax. I also changed it to orange color because I think the vibe suits it better. So yeah, everything is just built into the utility you can install and customize. Now, I know most of you might think creators must have a white desktop. Yeah, that's just a coincidence as mentioned by the builder. We didn't know that this case is white in color until we unboxed it, and even my home's PC is a white case. So yeah, we coincidentally fit into the stereotype. So yeah, gamers, you can use white desktops as well. We don't judge you. So that's my experience of using this particular build for video editing purposes. And actually just now you can see there's a green bar at the taskbar there. I was actually rendering a video using the Adobe Media Encoder. Now it's done, so we can proceed. If you want to know the full list of specs and also the price, I'll leave it here or down in the description. Hello, so future self here. I realized that I didn't explain much about the monitor used in this video, and that is actually the Gigabyte G24F gaming monitor, which is a 24-inch IPS LCD screen with 1080p in resolution that can go up to 165Hz native and can also overclock up to 170Hz, and it also supports AMD FreeSync Premium as well. Now, the reason why that we're using this monitor is because it's the only spare monitor that we have around in the studio, so we decided to use that to showcase in this video instead. I would say this monitor, while it is small at 24 inches only, but Gigabyte does offer a lot more monitors ranging from 27-inch of this particular monitor that we're using here, or any other ultrawide monitors with 1440p in resolution and many more. So you can check it out as well if you want to build the exact same build that we have here. And I think, yeah, that's it. That's all we have to share with you. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comment section below. And we'll see you guys in the next video.